respiratory illnesses, water-related illnesses, food system impacts, insect-related diseases, Black maternal health, and mental health effects. As the impacts of climate change mount, millions of vulnerable people, our people, are going to bear the brunt of these extreme environmental events, which will likely lead to forced displacement, loss of cultural identity, and other related risks. These realities are as real as rain. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details about the most progressive multimedia and live events campaign any Black media outlet has ever undertaken to combat the climate catastrophe. Experts, events, empowerment. It's all on the way from unapologetically progressive KBLA Talk 1580. We don't black down. We level up.
Level up, 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 level up.
Love, there's so many things I've got to tell you, but I'm afraid I don't know how. 'Cause there's a possibility that you look at me differently, love. Ever since the first moment I spoke your name, from then on I knew that by you being in my life, things were destined to change. 'Cause love, so many people use your name in vain. Love, those who have faith in you sometimes go astray. Love, through all the ups and downs, the joys and hurts. Love, for better or worse, I still will choose you first.
Welcome back into hour 2 of RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580, the show where we hit all the trending topics across entertainment, sports, lifestyle, and culture. I am your host, Jill Munroe. Of course, we had to get that music Love off because we're talking about love tonight in all forms and fashion. And, you know, music did his big one with that. Really, that was a jam. How are you feeling? It's the holidays. You know, you feeling closer to your loved ones? You feeling pressured and stressed by the idea that you got to get the perfect gift, or you skip gifts? What do you do with that? That should be a topic. We'll talk about that one day. At any rate, continuing on with our theme for the evening, right? So, like I said, social media is watching. They are always paying attention. What I would suggest, you know, if you are thinking of, you're mad at your significant other, whatever, and you're famous, I guess, or, you know, your friends might be paying attention to, and you know, don't want to look at your significant other's post on social media, mute them. Don't unfollow. Just mute. That way nobody has to be in your business or making judgment calls because they can't see it. And you won't have to see the content. I don't know. Maybe that's too simple. But there is another hip-hop couple that apparently might be trouble afoot for them. So apparently Cardi B and Offset have unfollowed each other on Instagram. And you know, that's a real thing. That means something in relationships. It really does. And earlier today, Cardi posted on her Insta stories, you know, when you just grow out of relationships, I'm tired of protecting people's feelings. I gotta put myself first. She also put up a live where she was discussing how there are going to be some changes happening around her life next year. And, speculating is what people do. So people are speculating that there is trouble in paradise with the couple yet again. And then, of course, there are you naysayers, you observers, you barbs that think that everything is about Nicki Minaj. And they're saying that Cardi is trying to create a diversion, a spectacle, because Nicki is dropping a new album on Friday, and she wants to make sure that the attention is still on her. It's plausible. It is. It's plausible. But, it's just as likely that she and Offset are going through a moment. They're young. We've seen them go through moments before. And let's face it, fidelity and hip hop, they don't necessarily go hand in hand. It's just the reality of it. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying that you should accept it. I'm just saying that it is a frequent topic that comes up. And, couples are often faced with, are they going to take the public embarrassment? Are they going to follow their heart? Do they work it out and not worry about how many prior times they've seen this action? Because the temptations aren't going to go away. It just has to be whichever individual, if there is, infidelity involved, maturing to the point that they can say no. Because you're always going to be attracted to somebody else. There's always going to be somebody that appeals to your taste. It's about having the willpower and the respect for your significant other to not get into that type of thing. But we'll have to see what happens. It could just be as simple as they weren't feeling each other today. Or it could be they're trying to upset Nicki. I don't know. We'll have to see. But listen, social media is on the case. They are going to let you know they see you. They see what's going on. Andy?
I was in a relationship where anytime we got into it, my then girlfriend would block me all the time. Block me, and then after things, settle down, she'll bring me back on. So I don't know. I feel like Cardi B and Offset, they've been through some down moments before, and they represent the generation where they'll block you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think everything will be cool with them.
I think so too. I think it's just, get heated a little time. Let me show you how mad I am. You guys can't slam the phone down in somebody's face anymore, but what you can do, block them on social media. I don't know if it has the same impact, because that slamming that phone down, they used to feel very good. That used to be exciting. That was proving a point. But then you'd be sad and you'd be waiting for the phone to ring. Anyway, we'll get into more trending topics, more headlines. I will let you know who else has broken up. Another relationship bites the dust. And of course, more trending topics and headlines. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we celebrate Christmas, we celebrate you. Thank you for turning us on this year. Happy holidays.
Wow! Mommy's kissing Santa Claus!
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA reminds you that when we fight, we win, and we don't black down. LA Community Action Network, or LA CAN, was formed in 1999 when 25 residents of downtown LA came together and acknowledged the problems that existed in their community and made a commitment to do something about those problems, to stand together, organize, and become a force in the community that demands change. Civil rights and preventing the criminalization of poverty are their core projects. In addition, they take on women's rights, the human right to housing, and healthy food access. LA CAN also has projects focused on economic development, civic participation, voter engagement, and community media. While downtown LA remains their home base, with a particular emphasis on the Skid Row community, in 2007, they expanded their housing and healthy food access work into South Central Los Angeles. LA CAN believes that power for low-income people and people of color is achieved through a large, active, and well-informed member base that utilizes a multitude of methods to advance their messages and goals. If you'd like to join the Los Angeles Community Action Network and organize people to fight back against oppression, please visit cangress.org. That's cangress.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Every child deserves the best teachers, facilities, and academic programs to set them up for success. At Milton Hershey School in Hershey, Pennsylvania, we make that a reality for children from qualifying families who are looking for greater opportunities. Milton Hershey School enrolls students from pre-K through 12th grade from across the United States to live and learn on a beautiful state-of-the-art campus with all costs covered. Are you looking to set your child up for success or know a child who could benefit from Milton Hershey School? Learn more at mhskids.org/admissions.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Is your eyesight changing?
I can't read this anymore.
Don't lose hope. People just like you are working every day using Braille, screen magnification, speech technology, and other tools and blindness skills. Your eyesight may have changed, but your goals, they don't have to. We can help. Visit us on the web at blind.org. The National Federation of the Blind. Live the life you want.
Hey, keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So listen, I told you there are more, breakups, more heartaches, more relationships that are coming to an end. So this particular one, it was a different type of relationship. Don't know how much physical contact they actually could have, but, we know there was a lot of love there. It's endured through the years, through the jail cells and all of that. But Monica recently revealed that she and C. Murder are no longer together. She said, "Got my heart broken again." There's questions we could ask, but we won't. She said, well, here it is. In short, I got my heart broken again, and that's okay. I learned yet another valuable lesson. I went through it, got over it. Now I can laugh about it. Life continues. I feel great that through it, he has... I feel great that through it, he has representation to one day be free. Let's move forward. Do we have a lot of expectations from a man that's locked up? I mean, his lifelines are going to be anyone that is willing to communicate with him, right? C. Murder's been in jail for quite a bit of time. They weren't married, so I don't think that there were any conjugal visits. And again, emotional attachment and those type of things are very real, very, very hurtful. But I really, really, really wonder, Monica, what was really your expectation? Like, I know that you're fighting to help assist, to get him, well, you were at least, out of jail. You feel like he was wrongly convicted, and that's admirable. But it wasn't a thought to maybe take a wait and see approach to that aspect? Like, always have your thing on the outside. I don't know, maybe, discipline by the inch. Maybe he didn't allow for such, but I just don't believe that Monica was really, really, really taking... I know she was repping and I know she was shouting him out, but he's in jail and has been. You're trying to get him a government appeal and it's not working. There's no judgment. Again, like I said, emotions are interesting creatures. We don't pick when they decide to rear their little heads. Well, as far as in love. And so, I understand, and that is a relationship that obviously started when she was quite young, but come on, girl. I don't know. I don't know. I really hope he really didn't, that you didn't have real expectations. I hope, that is colorful language. And, you know, it's not really that big of a deal in general. But she is a new man, so shout out to her. And I'm sure C Murder has somebody that is holding him down as he works through this process. Okay, so let's get into Sheryl Lee Ralph and her husband. So listen, they have been married for 18 years, right? And it has been a bicoastal relationship for the majority of the time, right? So Vincent is, what is he in Congress, or is he, of course I just lost my spot, but he has a government job, right? He represents Philly, that's his home state. And of course Sheryl Lee Ralph has been living here in Southern California for quite some time. They were bicoastal. They would go and see each other every 2 weeks. But she has recently decided that the regular visits every 2 weeks, it's not enough. And so Abbott Elementary is actually filmed here in Los Angeles. But we know that, especially for a sitcom, those, the schedule, well, obviously we're in a strike year, so it's kind of off. But generally speaking, those usually shoot from about July to about maybe March. And, there's holiday breaks. There's some weeks when they're on hiatus as far as shooting. So she said that, she's moving to Philly and that she will still travel to LA to work. But the moment the camera stops rolling, she is headed home for her husband. And I am not mad at Sheryl Lee Ralph. Of course, they made it work for 15 years. Some people are 18, excuse me. Some people are suggesting that perhaps part of the reason why they, unlike some other couples, no couples named specifically, just a general statement, have had success is because of the fact that they don't live together. And, it's funny, I was talking to a friend about this recently, and we were discussing that an older couple that I knew that were married, at a certain point, they started sleeping in separate bedrooms. And not really sure why, it just, happened. And the friend was like, well, that's very strange to me. And I was like, I don't think so. I think when, we think about so much about the romantic aspects of marriage and relationships, but that stuff fades, and what you are left with is your friendship and that commitment to each other. And sometimes it's not going to be all sunshine and cake. Sometimes it's not going to be romance and flowers. Sometimes it's just the commitment that we made to each other to push through. And so I think that, there might be moments when you don't necessarily want to be around that person. So Fahima in the chat says that his PA state legislature with residency requirements, and they have been as such. I believe that he was still initially in that role to some capacity or in a governmental position when they initially started dating. But now she is making the decision to move full time there, whereas, before her base was here. So kudos to them for, figuring out what works for them. I often say that, what people don't understand in a relationship, a marriage especially, is it's really between those two individuals. So you got to try different things to make it work. And so far it's worked for him. On the line, we have Fahima from DC. Happy Monday, Fahima.
Hey, Jill. I had asked, was Armand White and Nasha May Lindo at that event you hosted this weekend, but we can come back to that. I put it in the chat earlier. So one of the things that Sheryl Lee Ralph had said, that in this type of situation where you're not living in the same place, it takes a whole lot of trust. Mm-hmm. That being said, I had a mentor who was, well, I think she may have already married him. They were either married or about to get married. They did eventually get married to a state senator in Hawaii. She was and she at the same time she was also involved with a very well-known author whose name I will not mention. But when the senator and the actual United States senator had passed away, and her husband was on the short list of his replacement, she was panicking because she wouldn't have been able to explain to either one of them the other one.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I just had wanted to share that.
So you
but
think?
It's not
Oh well, I'm not
uncommon.
saying she. You know.
But it's not uncommon for people with non-traditional professions. Most people that object are thinking about people who have 9-to-5 jobs. People who are non-traditional professions, it's not uncommon for them to live in one city and their spouse or significant other to live in another place. People who may be in the entertainment industry, sports,
Politics.
Exactly. So people have to do what's best for them.
I agree 100%. So, and I mean, they have lasted this amount of time. I think, in their latter years, they're in their 60s. It'll, might be
And there's the
slowing
saying,
down.
absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Yep. I actually wrote that in my notes. That's an old school saying. I don't know if we feel that way anymore. And how much absence is there really when we could be connected 24/7 in ways that we never could have dreamed? Like they don't,
True that.
you think about this, right? I know you had a house phone, right? And imagine if you were calling to a boo that was in California or down in Florida and what that long distance phone bill would look like. Is there even long distance attached to phones anymore? Like you don't get charged for stuff like that, right?
Now people, they just FaceTime each other and have each other on live.
Exactly. So they don't feel like they're missing out. In that way, I think FOMO is different because you're never really missing it because at any given moment, you could be FaceTimed in or you can instantly see what happens. So I'm sure FOMO still happens, but I think it's very different in when we were coming up because think about this, they had party lines, 976 and stuff like that. You would have to mail somebody a picture, an actual photograph if you met someone like through a friend or something like that on the phone. And now you just go to their Instagram and you can see them in every given situation and scenario. It's interesting.
But real quick, Jill, before you go, was Armand White at the event that you was at? I started reading him when he used to write in New York, and I understand he's also on the board of directors for the Oscars. The film critic?
Okay, I am not certain. He may have been. There were quite a few people there. The AFCA has been around for about 20 years. It has a vast membership, so he very well could have been. I'm not sure if the other individual is related to Delroy.
That's Delroy Lindo's wife. I used to work with her at the Schomburg Center.
Well, I'm sure she was there because his family was there to support him, and he looked very dapper. It was a very nice night.
Mm-hmm. He did an excellent job of playing in Malcolm X. But anyway, let me let you go because we're sitting here having a private conversation when you got a show to do.
Thank you so much, Fahima. I love when you call in always and add your special brand of intellect to our conversations. We appreciate it so much. So, and if you want to call in, 800-920-1580, we appreciate your dropping in knowledge. But back to the topic of living separate but equal, as far as a relationship. Is it something you would go for? I think that it's not just entertainers that get into situations like that. You think about people that are in the military. We see that quite a bit. Sometimes, business people that work on certain type of maybe construction projects or, building things, or when there are what is the word I'm looking for? I just completely lost it. But different projects that might require you to travel for a certain time period and then return home. Maybe if you're a professor teaching for a semester at a college and it's a really prestigious college, there's all types of situations that could cause you to have to live separate from a spouse from a time period. And of course, trust is the ultimate factor in that. But I also think about, sometimes we all, a little space can be good. It can cause a little excitement. You miss them, whatever. All of those good things, But we know that they've been together for a while, so they got this. This is just them wanting to be closer. It's not indicative of anything else. Okay, so next up, I talked about this last week, right? And Lenny Kravitz and his issue with Black media and Black awards shows. Well, Lenny has come out and sort of corrected the statements from the Esquire interview. And he said his issue is actually with award shows, not Black media. And I don't know if you recall, but when I talked about this, I said I was in a unique position because I worked for Virgin Records where Lenny was for many years. So I worked on some Lenny projects. And while there, I was working in PR. So that is the connection. These would be the type of things that we were involved with facilitating for Lenny. And I also mentioned that I spent time at BET. So I have the perspective of having been on both of those entities and kind of knowing how they work and how they move forward as far as from the BET side, reaching out to talent, sending requests, from Lenny's side, what type of requests they facilitate and how that all happens. So in his clarifying statements, Lenny said, in his initial statements, he said that basically he felt shunned by Black entertainment media outlets and shows like the BET Awards, etc., that he was a trailblazer and they never asked him to come, they never invited him, and they never honored him. And I said, cap, and since then, we've seen a bunch of stories that have come out to kind of support that. I said that when I was there, I knew for a fact that there were requests sometimes that would come in from Black media, and maybe Lenny was unaware. But what I can tell you for sure is that it was denied some of those times, or there would be other measures. Like, for example, he was on the cover of Essence during this time frame, but they were sent outtakes, which is not uncommon to do for their cover story. There was no original cover story done, but I do believe there was an interview done, but the time frame, the access would be different than it would for other artists. When we come forward, we'll have more on that story. Of course, more on our theme tonight, love, lies, heartbreak, and heartache, and more trending topics and headlines. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580, news and sports on the other side.
With no doubts and no fears and no questions.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser is helping kick off DMV Black Restaurant Week. The mayor plans to announce the latest round of Food Access Fund grants at a ribbon-cutting ceremony for a new restaurant in Ward 7. The fund was launched in 2021 to help increase access to grocery stores, restaurants, and other food access points in the D.C. area. DMV Black Restaurant Week will continue through December 10th. Dave Chappelle is giving credit to his alma mater as a place that prepared him for the criticism that sometimes accompanies his style of comedy. Chappelle made a surprise appearance at D.C.'s Duke Ellington School of the Arts to take part in a masterclass on the topic of arts as activism. Chappelle, who is Black, also took the time to visit with students in different classes during the visit. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Grab your crush and head to Sheraton San Diego Hotel and Marina for a boat picnic of champagne and charcuterie in the heart of the harbor. Love is in the air and on the water when you explore your next getaway at crushingonfall.com. That's crushingonfall.com.
Environmental justice, pollution, and climate. In Los Angeles and across America, people of color are suffering and dying from disproportionate health impacts on a planet that has less than 10 years to prevent irreversible damage. Heat illnesses, respiratory illnesses, water-related illnesses, food system impacts, insect-related diseases, Black maternal health, and mental health effects. As the impacts of climate change mount, millions of vulnerable people, our people, are going to bear the brunt of these extreme environmental events, which will likely lead to forced displacement, loss of cultural identity, and other related risks. These realities are as real as rain. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details about the most progressive multimedia and live events campaign any Black media outlet has ever undertaken to combat the climate catastrophe. Experts, events, empowerment. It's all on the way from unapologetically progressive KBLA Talk 1580. We don't black down. We level up.
Level up, 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 level up.
Did you know addiction to drugs like meth or cocaine is a disease and not a choice? But getting help is. If you have stimulant use disorder, you, your family, and friends may have a lot of questions, including where to start. Choose Change California can help. Make a change today and find a proven treatment option for you at choosechangeca.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Stay Housed LA has the resources you need to know your rights and the legal support to back them up. The COVID-19 pandemic has cost people their jobs and livelihoods. This has left an estimated 1/3 of households not being able to make rent and facing losing their homes. This is a fear no one in our community should have to face. You have rights, though, and Stay Housed LA is here to help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between the County of Los Angeles, the City of Los Angeles, and local community and legal service providers. Together, they provide tenants with the information and support needed to exercise their rights so they can remain safely in their homes. Find out more about your rights by participating in a virtual tenant workshop. Get the legal assistance you need. Find additional resources in Los Angeles County and the City of Los Angeles. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA County for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. That's stayhousedla.org. Or call their hotline at 213-694-0040. We've got your Black with a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Did you know that every year public school teachers spend nearly $500 of their own money for student supplies? At Donors Choose, we want students and teachers to have the tools they need for a great education. And now, more than ever, they need your help. Go to DonorsChoose.org and choose from teachers' requests that support reading, math, science, music, and more. Learn more at DonorsChoose.org.
Donors Choose. Support a classroom.
Build a future.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Anyone can choose to make a difference. You can help people succeed, rebuild after disasters, protect the environment, or feed the hungry. Not only will you make a difference for others, but for yourself. You can earn money for college, learn career skills, and make friendships that last a lifetime. Make a difference. Choose your future. Choose AmeriCorps.
Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's like that in a hieroglyphics, yeah. 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 It's like that in a hieroglyphics, yeah.
Pyro, y'all. It's not a wrong thing to be addicted to the microphone like a heroin fiend. I tell you one thing, you never catch me fronting as I proceed to give the people what they wanted. You making some green, but not for glamour or fashion. I'm stacking cash until I can get moms a mansion. All from rapping. Nah, man, there's many plans like investing in land. It started all from impressing the fans with brand new flows. And you know, all the way from gangster clones to weirdos. Fools use those, but we ain't tripping. Give respect when you see this. You need us or your rap's underdeveloped like a fetus.
Those that know not those, and it shows when we broke out the knock, hoes hopped out they clothes. That's positive feedback. Yup, the pros are poised. We never pose, you'll never know. From 93 till infinity, we've been inventive. Creating the bump is our only incentive, and it's been a long time since I feel I've been felt. But the only thing I fear is fear itself. So you know what we got to do? Maybe could we keep it within the crew like it should be? Never giving out, we living out our dreams. If it's something I can't live without, that's my team, you never knew.
Hieroglyphics, hip-hop is vintage, underground like silos.
Is this the hieroglyphics? Okay, I was like, I heard the 93 to infinity, but I know that that is not the hieroglyphic song. That is, oh, I just blanked on the name. It was just on the tip of my tongue. I'm not reading lips. Souls of Mischief, that's right, they all had the dreads, and they were the big formless dreads. And for a second, I was like, oh, could this be the Far Side? Because it all really sounds like that year of 93 where, you know, the music was very musical and mystical, I call it. Seemed like they spent a lot of time smoking weed and beaties. Do they even still make beaties? Do you remember beaties back in the day? Outside philosophizing. Said that way on purpose. Just so y'all know. You know, sounds very much like that. There's very much a vibe to hip hop in 93. Also reminds me of what was Andel's place called on Moesha? Because I feel like they were very much a little bit into that type of, you know, neo soul-esque hip hop or whatever, and that they would play that in between the breaks on Moesha.
I mean, it was over here around the corner though.
I'm saying the Good Life Cafe, the real, you know. So, I mean, it fits, it tracks, but very West Coast sound. I feel like the East Coast sound that was kind of like that, you could still tell the difference because the East Coast version's a little gruffer, I feel. But, you know, we shall press on. I love our music conversations. I love music. So listen, we were talking about Lenny Kravitz, and I mentioned that a few media people came forward and mentioned that they had an experience like I described, right? Again, I didn't have that experience from when I was at BET outside. It was actually the other way. When I worked at the label, I would see some of the requests that would come through or some of the outlets that were denied access or time or given limited things. And for someone like Lenny, again, maybe he was unaware, but his team wasn't. And that was often the case. They would want to gatekeep the talent. And, you know, I don't know. Andy, you have something? Okay, no. All right. So listen, like I said, a couple of media employees came forward. Importantly, Stephen Hill, who used to work at BET, was responsible for 106 and Park, brought you a lot of those great moments on the BET Awards. He uploaded a picture on Instagram next to Lenny and showed off that Lenny had been on 106 and Park a few times, right? So Lenny decided to set the record straight. He took to Instagram, as of course, and explained that his statement was directed at Black award shows, which the BET Awards was, and not Black media spaces as a whole. He wrote in part, "It is important for me to set the record straight on recent media reports based on my interview. The comment I made was not about black media or the black community. I was specifically referring to black award shows in particular." He added, "My comment was meant to express concern about ensuring that black artists are being recognized for their work." And again, I say, having worked at BET, and Stephen Hill is a guy that travels the world to see not just black artists, white rock artists. So, again, they weren't turning down a Lenny, an opportunity for it. I can't say for sure if they pitched Lenny to ever come on the awards, but I know that they pitched a wide variety of people. They were always looking to set up those unique moments and tributes on that stage. So Lenny isn't someone they'd be like, no. Would the expectation be that Lenny might say no? Yeah. And again, from what I saw working at his label, it's not surprising that they did or that these reports are coming out. So I feel that it is slightly disingenuous to act as if black award shows, because really there's only three for the most part, right? There's the NAACP Image Awards. I believe that they have nominated Lenny or, put him up for an award, but those are tricky because the nominations with that are a little different, and sometimes they come, there's a monetary cost that sometimes comes with some awards, but so there's that. There's BET and there's Soul Train. So there's only a handful that you really could be directing that commentary to, if we're being honest. Kendi in the chat says, "I'm on Lenny's side. There's a reason why people like Rihanna and Beyonce don't do black media anymore. They don't protect talent in the way that white media does for their stars like Taylor Swift." I wholeheartedly disagree with you on that, Kendi. And I say that again as someone that has been a publicist, someone that has been a publicist for a black act that doesn't necessarily go out to black media. And I say that as someone that is on the media, a part of the media right now. Are there certain outlets that don't protect our own? Of course, just like there was always a National Enquirer or whatever those, kind of rags are called, about. Back in the day, there used to be this show called Inside Edition that would run stories that maybe in Entertainment Tonight wouldn't run. So I think the idea, so Kendi says, I was thinking of the Breakfast Club to be specific. I don't even know if I would say that that's a show that doesn't necessarily protect black artists. I think they give you the space to, one, discuss the questions that some of the fans want to know. Realistically, if you were looking at or reading sometimes a controlled interview, it's not necessarily as interesting. And I don't mean that necessarily because it has to be negative or you have to get into something down and dirty or some scandal, but the guardrails that they sometimes put on don't allow for a natural flow of conversation to take place. So that's one thing. Two, Lenny, from my perspective, and again, I don't know this as fact, but at least his team or those decisions were not made. And again, what I am speaking from is 20 years ago when I worked at Virgin Records. And, again, a different time period, but he was on tour. He did do, I think, an Essence and an Ebony cover at that time period, but definitely wasn't going into black spaces. And it wasn't because they felt like he would be mistreated. Kind of knew the opposite. It would be like a special thing coming in. So generally, to be quite honest, they would probably go the extra mile to ensure that he had the best experience because he's not a common guest. But it's more the approach of, is it worth his time? If he's doing a limited press run, there are going to be certain outlets, shows that are the priority. And at that time, a BET would not necessarily be among them. When we come forward, we'll get into more trending topics and headlines. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 wishes you a Christmas season that is merry and bright. Happy holidays.
Santa baby, just slip a sable under the tree for me.
Celebrate Southern California's health equity heroes at California Black Health Network's 40th anniversary event at Hotel Indigo's 18 Social, Thursday, December 7th, 6 to 9 p.m. Join us as we celebrate 40 years of advancing health equity for Black Californians and honor local organizations like Black Women for Wellness, the California Black Women's Health Project, Riverside County PEI, and the African American Infant and Maternal Mortality Project, December 7th. Buy your tickets now at cablackhealthnetwork.org.
Today, young adults face big questions about their future. How will you make your mark? Do you want to be part of something bigger than yourself? Are you ready to learn new skills and make new friendships? Perhaps you have a dream that you're ready to make real. So, how will you make a mark with your future? As you embark on a journey toward finding these answers, the military can serve as a resource for providing help, information, and opportunities. A public service message from the Department of Defense. To learn more, visit todaysmilitary.com.
Day 1, the hardest day. The day you hear,
"This is a type of blood cancer."
But day 1 is just one day. At the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, we are here to help you move past day 1.
On day 45, I discovered an online community who shared great tips for in-treatment care.
On day 185, LLS helped me file my insurance claims properly.
To learn more and get help on day 2, day 28, or any day, please visit LLS.org or call 1-800-955-4572.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment through the arts. Thea Chucha Central Cultural is on a mission to transform community in the Northeast San Fernando Valley and beyond through ancestral knowledge, the arts, literacy, and creative engagement. The Northeast San Fernando Valley has a population of about 500,000, the size of the city of Oakland, yet it has no bookstores, art galleries, or full-fledged cultural spaces until Thea Chuchas opened its doors in 2001. Founded by renowned poet and activist Luis Rodriguez, Thea Chuchas Cultural Center provides a year-round free or low-cost arts and literacy bilingual intergenerational programming in mural painting, music, dance, writing, visual arts, healing art sessions, and healing talking circles. Activities also include Mexica, Aztec dance, indigenous cosmology, philosophy, and 2 weekly open mic nights, one in Spanish, the other in English. In addition, they host author readings, film screenings, and art exhibits. To express yourself, heal yourself, attend an event, or volunteer, please visit www.tiachucha.org. That's TIACHUCHA.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So we were talking Lenny Kravitz. I couldn't remember the name of the album that I worked on the project at the time. It was Lenny, so that dropped in October of 2001. And, listen, again, that's over 20 years ago, so obviously it was a different time, a different movement. And people are certainly allowed to evolve and change. But I definitely know that most of the outlets and award shows he mentioned, I feel as though would be honored to have Lenny in their presence. For example, both of those shows, I believe, had Prince as a guest. I'm sure, almost. And I mean, not the same, but you can kind of see that bridge or connection. So I don't know why Lenny is making it out as if they would shun him, because I absolutely do not think that that would have been the case for them. Again, can't speak for everything, but I can speak to what I did witness. And that was, Black media was kind of put on the back burner. It happens. But he set the record straight, and, he is on a new path. So we will see what comes of it. Lenny does have a new single out. It's on the Rustin soundtrack. So, make sure you check that out. We love a good Lenny performance. I do. All right. So a lot of rappers have been doing rebrands. We've seen acronyms suddenly pop up for names like Young Thug and others that don't seem to match what the rap persona is, right? But it's possible. So add someone else to the list of people coming up with new acronyms for their crew name. French Montana has explained the meaning behind his crew's name, Coke Boys Entertainment. And he says it has nothing to do with the carbonated drink or the white powdery substance that some people ski on, that it actually stands for Creation of Kings Everywhere. French, that sounds dumb. And I see what is happening because, the courts are getting slippery and they're bringing all of these different things in and these items in. And some of these rappers are worried about incriminating themselves through their personas and music. But I don't know. I would almost just, instead of trying to do that, just be like, it was just for the streets. Sounds good. I think your audience would understand. Since you want them to understand these made up acronyms, they would certainly understand that. Okay, so in another story that is kind of interesting and kind of a twist, Billie Eilish has revealed that she has lost more than 100,000 Instagram followers since she came out, and I put that in quotes. She's also very, very upset with Variety because she feels as if they outed her on the red carpet. She says that she didn't realize that people knew what was going on with her. She said that the media frenzy over her sexuality is nuts, and she questioned why she wasn't asked about anything else that matters on a recent red carpet. She put this on an Instagram post. So basically, she's spoken out how she's attracted to women as well as men. And during an interview with Variety last month, she hinted that she was attracted to women in the past. But it's the first time that she really got into detail on the topic. She said, "I've never really felt like I could relate to girls very well. I love them so much. I love them as people. I'm attracted to them as people. I'm attracted to them for real. But I have deep connections with women in my life. The friends in my life, the family in my life, I'm physically attracted to them, but I'm also intimidated by them and their beauty and their presence." So naturally, caused a couple of questions, a couple of raised eyebrows. So a few weeks ago, Billie was asked about the comments when she was at an interview for Variety's Hitmakers event 2023 over the weekend. She was on the red carpet and she was asked, "We got to talk about your cover story because you mentioned that you felt like for a long time women didn't like you. And when that came out, all the women were like, 'No, we love her.' How did that reception feel?" Billie laughed and said, "I'm still scared of them, but I think they're pretty." The reporter went on to ask, "Did you mean to come out in that story?" And Billie laughed and said, "No, I didn't, but I kind of thought, wasn't it obvious? I didn't realize people didn't know. I just don't really believe in it. I'm just like, why can't we just exist?" She says she's kind of frustrated with people wanting to label everything and so forth. She said, "I've been doing this for a long time and I just didn't talk about it. Whoops. But I saw the article and I was like, oh, I guess I came out today. It's exciting to me because I guess people didn't know, but it's cool that now they know." Right? But later she made it known that she was nervous talking about the subject on the red carpet and noted once again, "I'm for the girls. She said that the reporter asking her, the reporter went on to ask her about her album, and she was talking about how excited she was. But she said that regardless of how she looked in the interview and how it seemed comfortable, and that she wasn't happy with the media coverage surrounding her sexuality. And she said that the outlet basically outed her. And I don't know. She could choose how she answered that question. And I think the assumption is, right, if you talk about something and it's in a cover story, then it's okay to ask you about it if you come across them on the red carpet. I know people frown sometimes that certain artists won't allow them, certain topics to be covered if you're talking to them, or the publicist will step in. But I also feel like you just thought people chose to ignore your preference when people focused on your clothing, how you wore it, that you rarely dressed up. When you did wear something that seemed a little bit more fitted or assumed, you thought that they just weren't asking you anything. I do feel for her, and I understand. But at the same time, public figure is just that. And we know that the extensions and the brand deals do not come just because of the music that you're singing. They also come about because people connect with you as far as your lifestyle or what they believe your lifestyle is, and they want to feel close to you. And I'm sure, although she lost some fans, I'm sure there are just as many fans that are right there lockstep with Billie. So while I understand the uncomfortableness of the situation, I do question how she thought everybody knew, but then is upset when it's discussed. And I also think that being a public figure means just that. And you see what happens with other people. How do you expect to be immune? And if you do, where's your standard answer? Don't even get into all of that. Lock in on that. When we come forward, we're going to have more trending topics and headlines. We're going to get into this Tracy Edmonds and Deion Sanders story, plus more love, lies, and heartbreak, because that is the theme for tonight. All of that and more on the other side. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. News and sports is up.
You stuck in the here and now, plus you're sweating profusely. Here's a towel. Your fears are now reality when I take your dream states and elaborate on how your team's fake. Like phony IDs, but sometimes I feel like only I see through the charade you made in today. But hey, tomorrow is played, and then they got a new fool in your place to be okay.
Hieroglyphics, hip-hop is vintage, invented in days back, rekindling ways that many thought was lost. In this contemporary